So how do you know that you're having a good food delivery shift? We're gonna take you along on this ride along video. My name is Matt on my twin brother's channel, Your Driver Mike. So how do you know that you're making the most money on the road? Aside from how much money you make, what are some signs that you're doing really well, that the area you're in is the correct area, and what are some tips to maximize those earnings? So there's some key things that you really want to pay attention to if you're trying to make the most money. And I mean, I think we're all trying to make the most money in the food delivery space. So one thing you want to look for are a lot of stacked orders. And if you're a Grubhub driver, these are called add-on orders. And if you haven't driven on Grubhub, DoorDash, or Uber Eats, if you drive on one or maybe two of them, you really need to sign up with all three, because that's the best way to get these stacked and add-on orders. So let's explain what those are. So a busy area is one with a lot of orders. That's called a power strip, where there's a lot of restaurants. So if you're getting really good orders, if you're getting one really good order, that's great. Now, if you're getting two really good orders, that's even better. And that's called a stacked order or an add-on order. So how do you get these stacked orders and add-on orders? Well, there's a key to getting these, and you really want to target the high density areas, not only with restaurants, but with customers. So how do you know where the customers are? You can actually take a look at your app, and if you're on DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, you can read the map and see which areas are dark, because those are most likely going to be those popular areas. On DoorDash, they're called hotspots, and on Grubhub, they're also called hotspots. Now, just keep in mind, these are more recommendations. That doesn't guarantee that it's going to be very busy, but especially around universities here in Pittsburgh, I have found that they are almost always near those hotspots. So keep an eye out for where the restaurants are and where there's a lot of customers. So I'm gonna go into a mistake I see a lot of drivers make, and that is not bringing your food delivery bag, because I've had it where there's a long line and they see that you're holding your DoorDash, your Grubhub bag, and they essentially let you cut in the front of the line because your time is money. So if you're waiting for these orders and you're all the way in the back of the line, meanwhile your order is ready sitting on the front desk, then you're literally just wasting your time. So make sure, not only for that reason, but also to maximize your tips, because when you take a picture, let's say you're dropping off Uber Eats and you take a picture of the meal at the delivery location, you can include that that bag was used. And customers really appreciate that because you're keeping their food hot and fresh. So make sure to include or bring with you that food saver bag. They give it to you for a reason. So one thing I see a lot in the comments section are the experiences that you all have with these different apps. And if you've had a negative experience with DoorDash or Uber Eats, or if you see something in the news that might not be to your liking, let's say they lower the rates like DoorDash did recently, then don't automatically write that app off, because things constantly change and the apps actually want more business in your city. So if things aren't working, and let's say that's negatively hurting you, then I would expect that app to adjust and basically give more orders to bring people back. So if you have a slow day, let's say on Grubhub, I know for myself, when I first signed up, it was really slow, but then after I used it more and more, for some reason, especially after the merger, which was probably a month or so ago, it really picked up and really surprised me. So I'm just happy that I signed up, because if I didn't, I wouldn't even have that as an option. So make sure to keep your mind open to all possibilities, and at minimum sign up so you can be there when it turns around. So here's a problem you can run into if you write off one of the apps, like let's say DoorDash, because you had a bad experience. Let's say you drove on DoorDash, you didn't make much money, or maybe you're upset about a change that happened on DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub, and then you refuse to drive on it. Well, what about when those peak pay bonuses come out, or those Quest bonuses come out? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, those are the dollar bonuses on DoorDash and Uber Eats respectively. There are peak pay, well, they're challenges, I should say. They're challenges. Peak pay is a different thing. They're challenges and Quest, and that's a dollar bonus. So if you drive, let's say 40 trips or 20 trips, they could give you hundreds of dollars. And you're not going to see that unless you have these apps and open them. So even though you have driven before and maybe you're a little disgruntled about the base pay or what have you, well, at least keep an eye out for those bonuses, because that's on top of what you make driving. That's an extra bonus. So you don't want to miss those. Those can be absolutely huge. So for any other reason, make sure to keep driving on all of the apps. So we're back here at the home office, and I want to give you some concrete examples of how do you know that you're having a good shift. Now, we just talked about hotspots and bonuses and all kinds of strategies, but it's okay if you drive on one app. So here's some examples of a recent Grubhub shift that I did that will give you a good example of what you really want. So you can see here my first order from Grubhub. It was a really solid order, but I had probably 3 or 4 add-on orders after this one. So remember, those extra orders on top of your current order. On DoorDash, those are called stacked orders, and on Grubhub, they're called add-on orders. So I frequently was getting add-on orders, and it made me stay on Grubhub. I did not have to go on DoorDash or Uber Eats, and that's okay. When we talk about driving on all of the apps, that's good because you want choices. But if you're doing really well with one app, then by all means, you want to stay on that app. So I do want to share a story about Little Asia. Now, you might have this problem when you're on the road, so you'll want to listen to this. So I went in, I showed my Grubhub bag, and they told me, well, it's going to take a few minutes. And if you've been watching the channel, my channel and my twin brother's channel, Your Driver Mike, we tell you to ask, do you know how long it's going to take? And you want to ask this because if it's 10 minutes or more, then you're more than able to cancel this order and move on to the next one. Don't get into the habit of canceling a lot of orders, but you can cancel if the wait is extremely long. But in this case, they said it's going to be a few minutes. And before I knew it, a few minutes turned into 5 minutes, which turned into near 10 minutes. And what do you do if the wait staff tells you it's going to be a few minutes and then it turns out to be 10 or 15? Well, you have 2 options. From the tips that you just watched, you could go on another app and try to find a replacement order. So you could cancel that order and try to find a hotspot, or you can try to find an extra order on another app and then cancel the current ride that you're on. Or you could, of course, wait it out. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about the rides that I accepted on this Grubhub order because most of them were amazing and very straightforward. But I had another request where I came across the exact same situation where they tell you it's going to be a few minutes and then it turns out to be a lot longer. So there's no way to predict this, but just remember, if you go in and the order is not ready yet, you can ask how long is it going to be, and then you can actually go into the apps and either text the customer, hey, I am waiting on the restaurant, and this is with Grubhub, or you can say order is not ready yet, and that is with DoorDash. So how do you know if you're having a good shift? Obviously, that is you're making a lot of money. But you also want to follow these strategies so you can give yourself the best chance of having a good shift day after day. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Some tips on how to navigate your map and the bonuses while you're out there on the road. So again, my name is Matt. I am Mike's twin brother on his channel, Your Driver Mike. If you do like this content, make sure to drop a like so that we know that you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more tips and tricks and ride along videos, and click the screen or tap here for videos recommended to you from YouTube, and we will see you in the next one.